we can look at the event as basically either presaging or foretelling a period of heightened tension in the United States, or maybe even political instability, or is it really an inflection point? Are political actors going to look at this and say, if I'm sort of currying electoral incentive, gaining electoral currency from this sort of anti-Washington politics, is it really in the country's interest? So some of the speeches that we've seen on the House and Senate floor would suggest perhaps the latter, but it doesn't seem to be really more than any kind of an immediate short-term comedy and bipartisanship. I think this kind of period of real kind of political polarization and really societal polarization is not going anywhere anytime soon.
Well, President-elect very early on started to talk about uniting the two extremes of political views in the United States. Obviously, a lot of that has fallen on deaf ears, given what we have seen transpire. Let me ask you, if the security services enforce a significant crackdown now on those who are perceived to be a risk, and I guess there are a lot of those who would self-identify as dyed-in-the-wool Trump supporters who buy into the idea that this was a rigged election. Do you think that damages the prospects of bringing that kind of unity across the states in the first year of the new presidential term?
I think clearly when you have large segments of the electorate viewing the poll, the November poll, as being illegitimate, it almost sort of makes it very difficult for a Biden administration to sort of build a broad-based coalition to enact its agenda, particularly because those electoral representatives have every incentive to sort of be rejectionist and to not kind of work across the aisle or to sort of find consensus on some of the major reform agenda items that this administration is likely to pursue. With regards to any kind of military action or sort of national security intervention, that doesn't seem to be a large risk at all. It's important to remember that 76 million people did vote for the president. There is large numbers of supporters there. The Republican Party did quite well in the election despite Biden winning. And so that part of the country is really a substantive force in politics.
Aaron, I want to talk about the Republican Party because before most recent events, it seemed that going into the midterms and beyond, President Trump would be the key force within the Republican Party. There was polarization way before Mr. Trump, and that will carry on afterwards. But in terms of the soul of the Republican Party, will moderate Republicans take it back from Trump and Trumpites, or will Trump still be the dominant force in the Republican Party?
I think that's going to be an interesting question, and I think the short answer is that yes, he will remain a significant force in the party, and a lot of his kind of heterodox views on fiscal stimulus and on entitlement, expanding the entitlements, and sort of going against some of the traditional GOP pillars of the governing philosophy that we saw under Speaker Paul Ryan and what Mitt Romney ran on in 2012. A lot of that type of politics and campaign issues have sort of subsided. There's kind of a new heterodox view of kind of looking at these major pillars of the party and saying, well, maybe this isn't really working for us. I mean, you saw that in the debate around the $2,000 stimulus checks, where the president was bucking many members of his own party and supporting a more substantive intervention there. So yes, Trump politics, the pugilism that will probably stay in the landscape, but the more heterodox views on economics and economic intervention and taking on China, a lot of that has real lasting power.